Why was the Director of National Intelligence anywhere near a Georgia election raid? Senator Mark Warner says the questions are piling up, and none of the answers make sense.
And then briefly on another matter with respect to your committee intel, I know you put forth a request for a briefing from ODNI today. Have you heard back from them? Do you expect a briefing?
What happened in Atlanta yesterday, I got a lot of questions. We all know that President Trump is obsessed about the fact that he lost Georgia and he lost the 2020 election. But the idea that almost 6 years later, he's trying to push Justice Department to confiscate voting records is more than bizarre. You layer on top of that, and I'm trying to get all the information now. My understanding is the FBI head of the field office in Atlanta has either quit or been fired. I want to find out what happened there. Was that because the FBI didn't think this was a legitimate investigation? And normally, if there is going to be an investigation, the person who signs the request for the warrant is the U.S. attorney from the jurisdiction. Well, it's not a U.S. attorney from Georgia that signed it, it's a U.S. attorney from Missouri. What the heck is going on? And you hear from the election officials in Fulton County, they have no idea where their data, their information has gone to. Is it safe? Is it secure? Is this an effort to intimidate in terms of 2026 elections? One of the things I'm concerned about on the roving ICE agents, I don't want roving gangs of ICE agents showing up at polling stations. That would obviously intimidate voters. And then you got the question of what in the heck is Tulsi Gabbard doing? The FBI has said they didn't invite her. The job of the Director of National Intelligence is to look at foreign interference in our elections. And if one of the things of the many things that's bothered me about Ms. Gabbard is that she, over the last year, has literally taken apart the Foreign Malign Influence Center that was set up during the first Trump administration. And I don't give the first Trump administration a lot of credit, but what they did on election security was darn good. But the fact that she dismantled that, trying to ignore about influence, and now is showing up. So if there's any evidence of foreign interference, she's clearly broken her obligations as Director of DNI to tell the intelligence community, because we've heard none of this. Or is this just an effort, a kind of a pathetic effort to try to appeal to her boss and get back in his good graces, to feed into his obsession? Because clearly she has been excluded from almost any of the foreign activity, Venezuela, Iran, Greenland, NATO. Been none of these activities. It's been CIA, it's been the Defense Department, it's been other parts of the IC. So we got a lot of questions, and I think you'll find, and I hope I have more to say about this later, that it's not just the Democrats who have questions about what she was doing there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What Senator Mark Warner did here was pull back the curtain on something that should deeply concern every American, regardless of party. This isn't about partisan sparring. It's about the integrity of elections and the misuse of federal power. Warner starts by laying out the context that cannot be ignored. Donald Trump has never accepted that he lost Georgia in 2020. Nearly 6 years later, the obsession hasn't faded. It has metastasized into federal action that looks less like legitimate law enforcement and more like political fixation. Think about what Warner is describing. A raid targeting election infrastructure in Fulton County? A warrant not signed by a Georgia U.S. attorney, but by one from Missouri. Local election officials unable to say where their data is, whether it's secure, or who now controls it. The reported removal or resignation of the FBI field office head in Atlanta? None of this follows normal procedure. None of it passes the smell test. And then there's the most disturbing part. Why was Tulsi Gabbard there at all? The Director of National Intelligence does not conduct domestic election raids. The DNI's mandate is foreign intelligence. Foreign threats, foreign interference, foreign adversaries. Warner makes that point crystal clear. And yet, Gabbard was physically present at an operation tied to domestic election records without an invitation from the FBI. That alone demands answers. But Warner goes further. And this is where the alarm truly sounds. He reminds us that Gabbard dismantled the Foreign Malign Influence Center, a bipartisan Trump-era initiative that actually worked to protect U.S. elections from foreign interference. If there were legitimate intelligence concerns about foreign involvement in Georgia elections, Warner points out, Congress and the intelligence community would already know. They don't. So what's left? Either the DNI is failing her obligation to report foreign threats, which would be a catastrophic breach of duty, or there is no foreign threat at all and her presence was political theater designed to appease a president still fixated on relitigating his loss. That's not just inappropriate, it's dangerous.